what about how they're starting to censor people more and more? And as we move into the digital currency, where do you see it going with people that might have unpopular political opinions?
I mean, they're going to shut down digital currencies in some areas for some people, the same way they shut down regular currencies for people.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's going to end up being the same sort of like arms race and sort of like game of trickery back and forth between the crooks and the criminals, or the crooks and the criminals, the cops and the criminals, and of how to outdo each other in terms of where to put it, to hold it, what kind of like fake business are you going to have, how are you going to launder it, what other forms can you put it in. So there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies. So there's thousands of them, and some of them, and probably 100 of them are really valid and probably worth buying.
So I was wondering if you could go into about the whole, like that book, The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, how like they take out countries.
Oh, using currency manipulation?
Yeah. If you can explain that a little bit, and you maybe tie it in with digital currency, how that might play out.
I mean, it's a really complex topic. I'll do my best to kind of explain it,
in layman's terms.
Yeah. Well, if you're the bank, right, and just to kind of think of the way the bank deals with you. So you go to a job, or you may do anything, and you make money, and then you usually put it in the bank, and then you get some of it out. And then you need to get things in life, like a car or a house. And even super rich people are playing kind of a game with the bank, borrowing money. And so the bank, in a way, has this other kind of currency other than what you actually possess. It's what can you borrow. And they control this. And it's really, there can be whatever model you want to put behind it, but really what it comes down to is how much do they want to loan? And how much do you think that's worth? It's not based on anything real.
It's all illusion.
Yeah, it's not based on anything real because you couldn't come up with something that's the same value to everyone all the time. That wouldn't you just couldn't come up with something. So that's why a salary is really kind of you're losing as the worker. Because your pay rate should be changing all the time depending on market forces. And for it to be fixed for a year basically takes inflation out of it. Sometimes people have a cost of living adjustment.
Yeah, they say inflation is the hidden tax.
Yeah, but we all know that a cost of living adjustment does not reflect real inflation.
Right.
In terms, especially like things that middle class and poor people buy. So all of those things, you control how much. So you loan people money. Most people have to borrow money in order to survive and live a real life. Because people, imagine even if you make a good amount of money, you'd still be living hand. It'd be hard to come up with enough to like live, move into an apartment and do all kinds of things without just using cash.
Yeah.
So you're so these institutions have set up like how much can we kind of give you at a time, and how much can we trust you with, and how much is what we have, what is it worth?
Yeah.
So that's now a war as to we want to make our thing worth the most, because that way when we control the most, who we lend to, how much we ask back, what kind of terms do we put in place for what we ask back, what we demand back, what are the tactics we use to get it back? And all of those things, you're at their hand. And that's why Jesus in the Bible, the only time he ever got pissed off, really, ever, if they were torturing and killing him, he didn't get mad. He was cooler that day than any other day. But the day he got mad and actually was violent was when somebody was trying to start loaning money to people. Because what that system is it's a game of using people's nature against them. And in the same way, you're not really gaining anything. So what cryptocurrency is so you have these systems of fiat currency that exist, right? And you can buy things like gold and silver that can retain their value to more or less degree. But no currency in the world, no modern currency is based on that. So those things are really, if you look at the price of gold and silver, they go up and down. But it's within, as in scientists or technical people say, within an order of magnitude. So it doesn't really change very much, which is, a good thing in some areas. So then you have cryptocurrencies, which are created using an algorithm. And this algorithm is a way of solving a finite problem, just, discretely over, a bunch of different computers. to get to like little pieces of an answer. And those little pieces of an answer are Bitcoin, or really a multitude of others. And so you can solve little bits of that problem, and then, for instance, it gets to 21 million Bitcoin. You've basically solved every area of that solution space. So then that's all there is, and you can't mine anymore, you can't create anymore. It's all been accounted for. Whereas any currency that exists in the world today, you don't really know how much there is. How many dollars exist?
As many as they can print.
Yeah. What's it worth?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you want to buy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why there won't be one currency to rule them all. Because people have different needs, and different things have different value to different people. So that's why, but it's the same thing, but I think that cryptocurrencies, some of them, not all of them, are inherently finite.
Huh.
So that alone, in my opinion, guarantees their survival and guarantees their use.
And what again makes them finite? I mean, if we're talking digital shit.
Imagine, like, let's say there were answers that were numbers to like a certain like equation that you could solve. And if you were clever, okay, I solved it. I got that one number, and thus there were 21 million of those numbers. So people are solving them. They're using supercomputers and all these things. That's what they call mining bitcoins. They're solving this problem, getting little parts of that. Imagine like a spreadsheet, like a chessboard just with a bunch of different cells.
Yeah.
And you're just finding like the numbers that go in there, and it's like, okay, solve that one. And there's 21 million of those discrete things that are bitcoins. And then you can chop those up into smaller bits. And you can do that however many times you want. So you could have like something like a femto Bitcoin,
Wow.
which would be like a really, really super small Bitcoin. A 10 to the minus 12, I believe.
So what happens when they just turn the power off?
Well, you still have...
Where do all the bitcoins go?
There's still a record that exists.
But you can't.
That everybody has. Like, so if anybody has any Bitcoin, they have all the information to restore the complete network. So just like people think of a hologram, picture like a little piece of plastic that has an image in it. Have you ever seen one of those little things, one of those old school holograms?
Yeah.
You can break that thing in half, and what you see inside each half is the same picture you saw originally.
Yeah, it's just like little ones making up the whole, right?
Yep. So everybody's wallet.
No, it's easy.
So we were just talking about Bitcoin, and check this out. I'm going to make sure that it's still going, and how it's broken up, and what the value of a Bitcoin really is. And it's whatever we want it to be, but there's a certain number of them. So that gives it an advantage over any fiat currency.
Right.
So when the earth starts shaking and the power goes out, I mean, you're not all is not lost. If the thing where it could be all lost is if all of the ledgers are erased. For instance, if there was like an electromagnetic storm or something. So things that weren't sufficiently shielded for electromagnetism or electromagnetic pulses or strong electromagnetic waves, those things could get destroyed. And if all the ledgers got destroyed, that would be. Also, if you hold your Bitcoin in a place, those are your solutions to that problem. So if you have like your hard wallet, as they say, you don't know. Now those things are gone. You can't get those solutions anymore. So nobody has your Bitcoin, and neither do you. And it can never be found again.
But I mean, that's assuming the power comes back on to check, right?
There'll always be power.
Yeah.
I mean, any kid can make electricity.
Yeah.
What it takes are the materials. Being able to refine metals and all of that. And that's what defines a technological age. So even if all the power went out, we'd rebuild something better. And in the interim, it would be catastrophic, but what would come would be a better power system.